Hello and welcome to Boulevard 40. My name is Kenya, and in today's video, I am just reflecting over a passage that I read in one of my most recent Bible readings. It was covering 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 30, which covers the death of Jezebel. And in this particular passage, she is thrown from her window by her eunuchs at the taunting of Jehu. And after Jehu's horse tramples her, and she is eaten by dogs, there's nothing left after her death but her hands, her feet, and her head. That particular scripture is found at verse 35. Chapter 9, verse 35. But when they went out to bury her, they found only her skull, her feet, and her hands. And during this particular reading, I somewhat lightheartedly commented on how the character of Jezebel and her vanity, and how modern day women, those are the three things that we tend to care about the most. Our feet, getting a pedicure, our hands and nails, making sure they look nice, and our skin and our hair, which is found on our head. And that's what was left of Jezebel, the things that she probably took a lot of pride in keeping herself up. In this particular passage, it does say that as she is meeting Jehu and speaking to him from above, as she's looking down at her window after hearing that her son had died, she painted her eyelids and fixed her hair and sat at a window. So she took great care to make sure that she looked good, even though she was probably facing an impending doom. As I am doing some research for a separate book dealing with modesty, I'm actually coming across some information that made me reflect on the passage of 2 Kings chapter 9, verses 30 through 37. So I'm actually looking at a website here. The website is catholicsandcultures.org. And the particular article is talking about Spain, Seville, Spain, and Holy Week, the Holy Week procession, talking about the different characters that are portrayed in the procession, this Holy Week procession. It's talking about how Jesus is stripped down with his body quite visible. I'm reading directly from the article, whereas Mary is always displayed covered in a large embroidered gown that only allow her face and hands to be visible. And as soon as I read that piece in the article, Mary is always displayed covered in a large embroidered gown that allows only her face and hands to be visible. It reminded me of something. I don't know if it's a movie that I saw or another picture or image that I saw, but I do remember seeing something about Mary being covered up and only the hands and face and feet being visible. So anyways, I did a little bit of a Google search looking up keywords such as modesty and hands and feet. And one of the first results that I get back is something on Islam. In many manifestations of Islam, it is expected for women to be covered completely except for the hands, the face, and the feet. And of course, having the garments being loose and non-see-through. I'm getting this actually from bbc.co.uk. It's the first Google result that popped up, so I'm not digging too deep, but it's the first thing that came up. In one popular school of Islamic thought, hijab refers to the complete covering of everything except the hands, face, and feet. And so between those two paradigms, the Christian thought of covering and modesty, and then this is Islamic one here, I'm wondering if there is a deeper significance of what was left of Jezebel. While I was reading this particular scripture reading, during the daily Bible reading, I did take note doing that Jezebel was a woman in a position of power during a time where women in positions of power was rare, if at all, something that was going on. And she really wasn't in power because her husband, Ahab, is the one who was the forefront. He was the king, he was the ruler. But by reading the scripture, you can see how she could possibly have been manipulating him and really controlling things behind the scenes, which may or may not have been God's plan, or may not have been something that was the social norm at that time. And so I'm just reflecting on the scripture that I was reading. Again, 2 Kings verses 30 through 37. The death of Jezebel, where she was thrown from the window. Nothing remained of her body, as prophesied by the prophet Elijah, that when she died, nothing would be remaining of her body except her hands, feet, and skull. What is the significance of the hands and feet remaining? Is this alluding to the modest norm of the women? Was she, I'm curious as to how she probably dressed compared to other women of that time. And if her final physical appearance, public appearance to people, a message to how she should have been covered, except for the feet, hands, and face. Let me know what you think about this. If you have any other insight into this book of 2 Kings, or into the story of Jezebel, or into the philosophy of modesty and covering for women, or even deeper than that, nothing being revealed except for the head, feet, and hands. Let me know in the comment section. I would love to have a discussion on this. I could have probably gone a little bit deeper into my own research, but I wanted to just come on here quick while it was fresh on my mind as I'm doing this research for this book that I'm writing, and came across this extra information. So let me know what you think, and if you would like me to do more videos like this, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.